you are sort of known for saying you are not too late to Bitcoin, right? Like you're constantly telling people that think they're too late to Bitcoin, which many people do. Oh, I heard about it when it's 1,000, now it's 70,000. I can't touch it.
Yeah.
But you are often making arguments to the contrary. What is that argument based on? Like, how do you present that to people? Is that part of the argument that, not only do you get to keep your wealth, but it's also going to create a world that generates more aggregate wealth? How do you communicate to people that they are indeed not too late to Bitcoin?
Yeah, well, I think that's a really, this is the funny thing. It ties into so many things you already talked about, but it's all emotion. You and me, we're in Bitcoin because of emotion. Mm. People are anti-Bitcoin, they're anti-Bitcoin because of emotion, right? We use logic, we use morals, we use ethics, all that, but ultimately, as the Bible says, right, nothing is more deceitful than our own hearts, right? Mm-hmm. And, not even we know in our own hearts, right? Like, really, if we're really honest, if everyone watching this is really honest, it's all emotion, right? And all the FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt around Bitcoin, has emotion behind it too. But I believe the single greatest emotional hurdle, the single greatest piece of FUD, let's say, against Bitcoin is that precise argument that you're not too late to Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. Because if people thought that they were not too late to Bitcoin, then they would look past all the other arguments. They'd look past the climate argument. Mm-hmm. They'd look past the money laundering argument. They'd look past all these other...
They just want to know they can still get rich, basically.
Right, right. They wouldn't care. They would find an excuse, right? Sure. We know this because we see this with the stupid digital tokens that are worth nothing, that we all know are worth nothing. Right. People will emotionally justify anything if they think that there was a profit in it for them that they have some probability of getting, right? So I actually believe, and this is a common critique I have online, or that people have given me online, is that, Luke, you're a Christian and you talk about the humanitarian case for Bitcoin, and you say you don't check price, but all of your thumbnails and all of your titles and all your articles have price in them. Like, yes, and I mean, to me, it's very intentional. Frankly, I don't like that, and that gets back to the whole social media discussion that we were starting at the very beginning of this conversation. But I do it for a reason. The reason is because I want to be effective. I want to propagate the message as much as I possibly can, and I'm willing to tolerate a hook of, let's say, Skittles to reel them in and bring them to the ribeye, right? I'm willing to do that, right? And so, to your question of too late to Bitcoin, that's the context I want to give beforehand. That I think if people watching this can internalize that they are not too late to Bitcoin, emotionally internalize that, I'm telling you, you are not too late to Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. Yes, it was cheaper. Mm-hmm. Yes, it was much cheaper at one point, but you're still not too late, right? If people can internalize that, then all these other questions they have, criticisms, benefits, whatever, of Bitcoin, you will find the incentive.
They will rationalize.
Well, they'll rationalize it, and they will find the emotion within themselves to then do the work and verify that what they're saying is true. Because ultimately, yes, we make decisions based on emotion, but we want to verify reality to the best of our ability, right? Mm-hmm. And so if people make that emotional shift and they internalize and actually believe that they are not too late, they will make better decisions. So
is part of this just overcoming unit bias too?
Unit bias, anchoring bias, all of them, right?
Because people just think, again, thinking through dollars, right? They're like, oh, it's a 5-digit number now. That's just too expensive. Right. Whereas we all know unit bias is total bullshit, right? You could price the thing, you could look at price per sat instead, and you get a totally different number that, I don't know, is sub 1 cent. So we'll just load up. Right. Is that the trick? It's like getting people, because I found that one to be actually kind of difficult. When you start to tell people, hey, you think in terms of dollars, you're looking at the world through a certain lens, and you can take off that pair of glasses and put on a different one, people are like, that metacognitive leap seems to be like a lot for some people, but it is also necessary to overcome this unit bias and perhaps contribute to their understanding that they're not late.
Well, it's a bit of a controversial thing in Bitcoin too, because I'm not comparing myself to Michael Saylor in this regard, but Michael Saylor, I think, is the best at this. People all the time say, oh, Michael Saylor doesn't understand Bitcoin because he talks about Bitcoin in terms of fiat. He prices it in terms of CAGRs. He prices it in terms of USD, right? Michael Saylor doesn't understand Bitcoin, right? And it's like, respectfully, like if you've interacted with them, if you've watched him for 1,000 hours, if you really think about who he's pitching, it's like, in my opinion, I think Michael understands Bitcoin. I think he understands it's not just, NASA, but it's also a currency. I think he understands all these things. I think he understands that fiat eventually at some point is going away. I mean, come on. Yesterday, literally yesterday, all right, which I guess for me still feels like today, but he's literally talking about Bitcoin for the next 100,000 years, right? Does Michael Saylor really think that the US dollar is going to be around for 100,000 years? I don't think so. So my point is that in a similar way, Michael Saylor is leveraging traditional finance speak to be the hook, to bring people in, to help them understand it, internalize it. Right. I think that is the number one way in which we increase adoption. And so
it's good marketing.
Right. And so in the same way I copy Michael Saylor and I buy Bitcoin, I'm copying him in that strategy. And frankly, it works because people do click for the price. They want to know if it's going up or down.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, click here to find more just like it, and here to find our most recent episode. Also, make sure to like this video to help shine light on the corruption of money, and be sure to subscribe to this channel to stay connected.